Hey guys, it's Socket here again on the sound deadening SQ build. Um, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to soundproof the boot area. So let's have a look in here. This is our boot. We're going to have to remove all this trim and soundproof all that stuff. It rattles and bangs away, so we're going to get rid of that. Pull up all this floor area, do the floor, take out the speakers, do the side walls, and all this section here, pull all that out as well, and do up in there as well on the head, behind the headliner, and probably going to have to pull the headliner out itself. So that's going to be stage one. I'm going to get started and pull out some of this stuff and pick up the video once I've got a few bits and pieces out. Okay guys, the first part is to take the trim off the trunk. So really easy, these are just little press stud things. Just trim tool under, give it a lever, and they basically will just pull out like that. They run all the way around, and so I need to pull them out. Okay, once you've got most of these little clips out, take these last two, and this last one, then the whole trim piece just basically lifts out like that, and you can see the inside of the boot lid. Now we're going to, anywhere that's sort of flat like this, we want to put some sound deadening. Maybe not so much there. I mean, this is pretty strong, but look, I might coat most of that. And then the other area we're going to have to look at is all of these wirings and clips and things that sort of rattle around. So we've got some deadening to do, and to do the to soundproof all of this wiring and harnesses. But before we do that, there's a lot of dirt and dust in here, yuck. So we're going to have to first of all clean that up before we apply any material. Okay guys, so we're just cleaning up the inside of the boot, and so what I'm using here is some wax and grease remover, just to get rid of it and make sure that we get the surface nice and clean. A bit of paper towel, I put some in a spray bottle so that basically you spray it onto the surface that you want to clean, just lightly, and then wipe it down to get rid of any of that dirt. I've done a dry clean already just to get rid of the dust. This is just taking any wax and oils and things off the surface, so we get a nice good adhesion with the surface. You can probably spray it onto the cloth and rub it, but it's just about getting it clean. So this is a so while I've been looking at the trunk lid, thinking about how I'm going to sort of do this little piece, so just point out a few things. So first of all, this is carbon fibre, not metal, so you know it's like anyway, it does rattle a fair bit. So a couple of things. So first of all, when you look at this whole trunk lid and the way it seals on the edge of the car down here, that seal runs around, you know, this area here. So there's really not much point in sealing these surfaces here outside of, you know, because they'll end up here in this part of the car, and you know they're pretty solid sections anyway. So I'm going to keep the sound deadening inside the seal area, so inside this area where it touches the trunk, boot lid. So all of this stuff. Second thing just to take note of is the holes where the clips, the studs go in to hold the liner. Yep, so we want to avoid those. That's where our little hole punches might come in handy. Then the other area is these wires. So if this was a door and we had moving cables and things, something to be careful of, but there's nothing. This is the the latch release cable, but you know, so there's nothing really there that has to mechanically move. So I can pretty much tape all of these things down and put some foam in to stop them rattling. Then we have these bump stops. So you know, this thing is pretty solid, and you know, this thing's pretty solid, but this one here, right, that's rattling, so we're going to have to do something about that. And then finally, you know, if you look up in here, there's all of these hollow sections, right, which goes onto the outer skin. Now there's a couple of things that can either soundproof all of this or physically cover up these holes here with soundproofing deadening material, which is probably what I'm going to do actually. So I think that the lesson here is, before you actually start any of the material work, is to just think through some of those things, you know, where you're going to have to leave bolt holes, punch through, you know, test all the surfaces, see which ones that rattle, think about parts that need to move, you know, where the section seals against, and you know, what area you need to soundproof, what area you don't. So anyway, that's a bit of a, I think if you tackle each section and you know, think it through like that, you're going to end up with a much better result. So okay, I'm going to just do another little bit on the wiring here. So this is a wire that runs up into the indicator lights. You can see it's got these clips that kind of in there, and work their way around. I'm going to actually cut all those off, and then put the sound deadening on, then wrap the wire and put the so if we need to service it, it won't be underneath the sound deadening. And then we had these other wires that run up in here. They actually are part of the lights and the rear camera, so I'm going to pop those out so that we can wrap those as well. Alright, just pulling out these tail lights. You'll notice on BMWs it's got just a little spring clip here, so basically you just pull them sideways like that and it just pops out, and then we're able to sort of take the plug out of the back and run it through so that we can wrap it. Okay, a little bit on the wiring. So what I've done is taken out the number plate lights and the reverse camera and unplugged them all, and here are the wires, the number plate lights and the reverse camera switch, and so we're now ready to wrap them up. I'm going to use some of this. I've just cut strips of this foam clothy stuff and going to wrap it in a bit of this cloth tape, and anyway, we'll come back when I've done a little bit. So done a bit of wrapping of the wires using the foam cloth and the cloth tape. So look, first attempt at this, so I'm sure I'm going to try change my technique as I go along, but so I've wrapped it at the end on the wires to hold in place. Just wrap the foam around, you know, pretty much, you know, like this, as you would doing a loom. And when I get to the end, put a bit in the middle to hold it, a little bit here, maybe on the joints, careful to avoid any connectors, and yeah, much quieter, and even on the cloth tape it's pretty quiet. So I'm going to keep doing that and get this loom finished. Okay, pretty much finished the wrapping the wiring. That took a good 40 minutes or so. As like I said, it's my first attempt at this, so probably going to change the technique somewhat. There's still some bits here, and here where they come through the hole, they're going to rattle. So I'm going to apply some of the foam behind those bits to stop that rattling. Otherwise, the wiring's pretty much done, and I can start reinstalling all the bits. So just a bit more on the wiring. So that is all finished now. Just put some little pads of foam around here and around here, and put some foam around this bit. So that is not rattling at all now. This is just some foam in these little areas here too as well. So I can shake that loom, and nothing. Anyway, it's a lot quieter than it was before. So I'm going to put the soundproofing dampening material in next, and then we'll fix that wiring loom to the trunk lid. So it's getting a bit late now, so I might get onto that tomorrow.